All right, so the question is, what is soil organic matter? I let you answer, but we're playing with this space and time thing, and I'm afraid the answers would get all kinds of there'd be interference, and we couldn't actually communicate that effectively. So I'm just going to tell you what it is. That's okay. If you're done okay with that, just plug your ears or something. All right. Soil organic matter is the result of the decomposition of plants and animals and microorganisms and the resulting kind of whatever is left from the decomposition. Usually that's called humus, and but there's also several other byproducts of that decomposition. You get CO2 into the atmosphere usually, and you also get water, which can go into the atmosphere, go into the soil, or become part of the plant, or can go all over the place. And you also get nutrients released through the process of mineralization. And so you also get humus, and those are the products that you normally get by that decomposition. And soil organic matter contributes to soil's water holding capacity. It contributes to the formation of those aggregates we talked about that lead to good soil structure. Um, Soil organic matter can alleviate compaction. It can, well, it's a source of nutrients. It can hold more nutrients than clay particles can. Um, what else is good about soil organic matter? Basically, it's great for plants. Plants and soil organic matter are just they're best friends. The more of both, the better. The more happier we are, and the happier everyone else is as a result of that. So, I guess that's kind of what soil organic matter is. Now, over time, like I said, soil organic matter results the decomposition that forms soil organic matter results in several products: the CO2, the mineralized nutrients, the the humus, the microbial biomass, the water. Right? Okay. So over time, if say we went and mowed the lawn, and this time we didn't pick up the clippings, but from the future, from now on, from now until the end of time, we're gonna bag the clippings and remove them from the site every single time. Okay, except for this one time. So we have one shot of new dead plant material to form a soil organic matter. All right. So over time, that those dead grass blades die and they're decomposing and they're forming into humus and CO2 and water, and microbes are eating everything, and those mineralized nutrients got taken up by the rest of the remaining turf grass. And they pretty much used up everything. There's a little bit of humus left, but no, there's not much there. Okay. But so next time we take the clippings away. There's no new addition of organic matter. So the plants still need nutrients, the microbes still need food, and so they break down that remaining, whatever's left from that first bit of clippings that were left, they break down everything they can off of that. Then 2 weeks later, we try to cut it again, we take everything away. Plants need more nutrients, more stuff, right? The microbes need more stuff. And so they break down whatever's left. And pretty much at the end, it's all gone. It's all turned into CO2 for the most part. And we keep doing this forever. We keep taking these clippings away. And so now you got the soil, everything, all the humus that had built up in the soil for however long before we started doing this is being burnt up, and it's degrading and decreasing. The amount of soil organic matter is actually decreasing over time. And this isn't good. This can lead to compaction, this can lead to nutrient-poor soils, which can lead to disease-prone grass, which can just have all kinds of negative impacts. And so that's not good. We stopped the input into the system which is resulting in essentially the degradation of the system. So to keep your soil organic matter there, you need to keep adding material, or at least not removing it from the site. Let the grass grow up and fall over and die and decompose, and at least keep having that carbon keeping to come in. It'll keep coming in because the plants are fixing CO2 out of the atmosphere. They're essentially bringing CO2 into the system, the carbon into the system, which is great. But in our example, we took that fixed CO2, that carbon, out. We took it somewhere else, and so it's a net loss basically. The soil hurts from that. This is kind of a foundation of how we need to treat our soil organic matter, especially in perennial systems, but really in all soils. And so there's four very simple rules that, if followed, will or should lead to good, healthy soils. And what these are continuous organic matter additions. Rule 1, keep adding stuff. Rule 2, keep it vegetated at all times. This rule is really all about kind of trapping the nutrients. You might have heard of trap crops. What trap crops are, if you haven't heard of them, or maybe if you have but you're not quite sure what they are. Trap crops are basically, say you grew corn, and you harvest the corn, and you cut up the stalks and incorporate them at the end of the season. Well, there's all kinds of nutrients made available, and they're in a soluble form generally. Not all of them, but most of them would be, and they could leach out of the soil, which is not good because that means they're gone. It means you have to add more in. You have to pay more for fertilizer. You have to pay more to apply more fertilizer. You know, that's no good. That's money out of your pocket you could have saved. And so a trap crop, what that would do is you would seed it in before you would, or after you incorporate your corn. If you incorporate your corn or you just leave it on the surface, depends. These trap crops, will pick up those nutrients that would otherwise be lost. And so they keep them in the system. Then in the spring, when it's time to plant, you just kill the trap crop, and you can either incorporate it or you can leave it on the surface. And we'll kind of talk about the difference between those two in a little bit. So that's rule 2. Keep vegetated always. And it also helps reduce erosion and keeps the soil friable and good throughout the winter, and has other benefits as well. Rule 3 is minimize tillage. And so what that does is every time you mix up the soil, you're essentially aerating the soil. You're putting more particles in contact with other particles. You're tearing up plant roots, making them smaller, which makes them easier for microbes to decay. And so basically it's like opening the doors to some sort of huge, awesome Las Vegas buffet and saying, all right, everyone, come eat for free and drink for free and have a great day. And you know what happens? Everyone hangs out all day, eating all they can all day, drinking all they can all day, right? And so they go and use the bathroom a ton. And they fart a whole bunch. All kinds of hot air comes out of their ears. And that's CO2 for the most part, or methane in some instances. And what is that really? It's a carbon compound, and that carbon goes into the atmosphere and goes away from the soil. So instead of, like in our grass clipping example, where we didn't weave the grass clippings and over time we just kind of lost our carbon, well, we're actually throwing that carbon away basically. We mix it all up, and we got this rapid decomposition, which leads to all kinds of off-gassing of mostly CO2 in these instances. And then we lose organic matter quickly. So minimizing your tillage is great because you lose less organic matter then. You burn it up less, which is fantastic. And also, we talked about the trap crop. Right, if you keep tilling it up like that, you're going to keep having all those nutrients made available by that rapid buffet just lost. They'll flow through the soil and leach out, which is no good. It doesn't help your plants at all, doesn't help you at all. It's not good. So that's rule 3. Minimize your tillage. Rule 4. Keep residues on the soil surface. So why would you want to keep stuff on the soil surface? Well, I'll tell you. It's all about keeping that soil covered. So we said keep it vegetated always. Well, if you can't keep it vegetated, at least keep it covered with something. So whether you have it mulched, whether you got a cover crop on it, or a trap crop, or green manure, or you just instead of incorporating your corn stalks after harvest, you just chop them up and leave them on the surface. And what that does is that it's a layer between the rain and the soil surface, so the rain doesn't lead to compaction. It doesn't break up soil structure. It kind of hits and then flows in softly and smoothly and sweetly. It's beautiful. Is what it is. It's a great way to treat your soil with like a nice, really, really nice set of silk sheets. And that's kind of what it is. It also keeps them warm in the winter. It improves water holding capacity, it improves structure over time, it improves your soil organic matter. It's good practice to keep something on your soil. If nothing's growing in it, at least keep it something covering it. Um, so these are our 4 rules, 4 simple rules to keeping our soil organic matter happy and healthy. All right. So we got continuous organic matter additions, keeping it vegetated always, minimizing tillage, and if we can't keep it vegetated, at least keeping some sort of residue on the soil surface. Okay. And so eventually, in a perennial system, you end up with something kind of like this. These goofy colors here. We got purple, large materials. These would be like leaves and wood chips and stuff that's freshly added on top of the surface. And then these orange things are these bigger things, but over time, as they're broken down, they become smaller and smaller and smaller. And so these small particles are the next layer down. And then below that, you have tinier particles of organic matter, which form kind of like a composty, real rich, soft, fluffy material. And then below that, you'll have organic matter kind of working its way into the more mineral component of the soil. And that's really what we want to see in our perennial soils and perennial production systems. We want to see this exact thing. We want bigger materials on top of smaller materials on top of really fine, awesome materials. That is what we should see in these perennial systems. And that's what we're shooting for when we're managing our soil organic matter. So over the next little bit, the next video is going to be about cover crops and green manures and mulches, and we'll talk about compost a little bit. So we'll see you then.